I thought we would do the invocation in the tradition of Iyengar yoga, just so that that gets some weight as well. So here it is. We'll chant Om 3 times. Om. 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 Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi Abahu purushakaram Shankha-chakra siddharinam Sahasra shirasam shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Harihi Om. That invocation, as is done before every class in Iyengar Yoga and every practice, consists of 2 different verses that came from separate places. I'm not sure of their origins, but just take note of the fact that the melody changes. Hello, Rebecca. Nice to see you. And as per your handout, if you all were able to print out the handout, it's the same as last week. The handout that's in the file entitled Anustubh and Tristubh. So the latter in the Iyengar invocation, Abahu purushakaram, that's in a verse which contains the 8 syllables per line, and so it's considered anustubh. And it's also referred to as the shloka kind of a meter. Now, shloka means a verse. It means that. But most of the post-Vedic literature in Sanskrit, all the classical Sanskrit literature, most of it seems to have been made in anustubh meter, meaning verses that have 8 syllables per line. And it happens so often that people have come to call it the shloka meter. So when a verse has 8 syllables per line, it's either tristubh or, anustubh or shloka. And yogena chittasya padena vacham, that is a verse with 11 syllables per line. And so hence the melody can change, has to change a little bit. And this will happen in the Bhagavad Gita because there are a few verses in tristubh, tristubh being the 11 syllables per line, even though most of the verses are in anustubh. So what I'd like to do before getting on to the Bhagavad Gita is to play with the melodies of these invocations that most of us have some familiarity with. So let's take the top on the tristubh meter page, Vande Gurunam. So I've heard people in the Ashtanga tradition chant it sort of like this. Vande Gurunan Charanaravinde Sandarshita Svatma Sukhavabodhe Nishreyase jangalikayamane sansara hala hala mohashantye, or something quite different. So Rebecca, is that at least familiar? It may not be exactly how you do it.
Yeah.
But what if we applied something different, such as Vande Gurunan Charanaravindehi Sandarshita Svatma Sukhava Bodhe Nishreyase Jangalikayamane Sansara Hala Hala Mohashantiyai. And then they end up with Abahu Purushaka. Then we could do, so if you go to the other page, interesting, the Iyengar in the Iyengar tradition and in the Mysore tradition, our second verse is the Abahu Purushakaram. What if we were to chant that verse with this melody? Abahu Purushakaram Shankha Chakra Siddharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim. And then I had a Sanskrit teacher who always would repeat the last line. So it would be, Pranamami Patanjalim, Pranamami Patanjalim. It's kind of, emphasizing that we are pranamamiing. I am pranamamiing Patanjalim. So would you like to chant those verses with that melody just to see how it feels? Okay, so back to the page with tristubh. So here we go. I'll chant Om first. Om Vande Gurunan Charanaravindehi. Let's repeat that. Vande Gurunan Charanaravindehi Sandarshita Svatma Sukhava Bodhe. We'll repeat that. Sandarshita Svatma Sukhava Bodhe. And then Nishreyase Jangalikayamane Nishreyase Jangalikayamane Sansara Hala Hala Mohashantiyai. Excuse me. Sansara Hala Hala Mohashantiyai. Now Abahu. Abahu Purushakaram. Repeat that. Abahu Purushakaram Shankha Chakra Siddharinam Shankha Chakra Siddharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Pranamami Patanjalim. Then altogether that punctuation. Pranamami Patanjalim. Just in case we had any doubts of our commitment. That second way of chanting it gives us our commitment. How did you find that enjoyable, just to put a different melody to it? Enjoyable, strange. Comments, unmute yourselves.
I guess the thing that occurred to me, having chanted these invocations in both Ashtanga and Iyengar, it seems that the Ashtanga people, I would say we, although I'm not much about Ashtanga right now, we kind of rush through these invocations, where the Iyengar people tend to be a little bit slower and methodical. So this is what was going through my mind when you slowed both of them down. It's like, yeah, I've heard the Ashtanga invocation. It comes out in like 5 seconds. And then we're in the Namaskara A, right? Because it's kind of like, oh, it's in a way. We just have to do it. But in the Iyengar, the invocation seems to be, I don't know, maybe it's more meaningful. It's more integral to setting up the mood of the practice. This is just my perspective.
Mm.
Well, it sounds like you've had certain Iyengar yoga teachers. There have been others who do rush through it. And it could be the frame of mind of the teacher, that maybe they are overcome by the notion, by this, the thought that they have a lot to cover, and they want to get through the invocation because they want to get to it. It's different. I've had different teachers present it differently, some faster than others. It's the yogena chittasya padena vacha. I find it challenging, very challenging, not very easy. And I also think Vande Guru Nam is a mouthful as well. So I don't know. Rebecca, you're a teacher and you chant it. Do you have anything to say about why fast, why slow?
I really think, I was thinking about it when you said that, and I really think, I know for me, I learned it at first, just by listening, right? So it really becomes imprinted by that teacher. So I have found it a little challenging, and then studying Sanskrit just to find my own way, and then hearing it in so many different ways, because every teacher does it differently. So, for me personally, I really enjoyed putting more of a melody to it, because I've heard it like strictly, really like Vande Guru Nam Charana, like with very little
like
inflection.
Monotonal.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So I don't know. I would just say personally, I like the melody, like that. I thought that was great. But yeah, I guess I would agree that with Andy, that it does seem when you're in an asana class, it's pretty quick. Like, come to the front of your mat, we're going to chant that and get going.
Yeah. And the tempo, fast or slow, and also melody or monotonal, that evokes a feeling, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. The monotonality of it certainly invokes a seriousness and a weightiness to the subject. And then the melody brings a lightness to it, and perhaps the idea of play. So, maybe I wouldn't dare lead Yogena Chittasya any other way. If I were teaching an official Iyengar yoga class, I wouldn't dare deviate from the melody. But when we were in Sanskrit classes with Dr. Sharma, we chanted the melody with the melody. We chanted the Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham, and it was a Sanskrit class, so it was another.
Well, that's actually a tool in learning any language. Like I know I do that with my students a lot, which is super challenging now that you can't sing, and you have to wear a mask, but is to add a musical tune, to add a tune to anything. And then you're going to go home, whether you're an adult, it's going to be in your mind and you're going to be able to recall it quicker. And for children, they just can sing that all the time. So that's a great tool to learning language.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
To put it to melody.
And I think the idea came to me to just introduce these with different melodies because we are now familiar with these invocations. And sometimes I'll hear a recording, I'll be in a situation where I hear it differently. And sometimes I won't know right away that that's a chant I know very well. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing the words and recognizing the words, and I say, oh, I know that chant, but it was just, I do it differently.
It's like doing a cover. It's the cover by Leslie.
Yeah. So I just, and I thought it would be another way of just getting ourselves seated and comfortable with these invocations that are really so beautiful. And there's a freedom to knowing that we don't have to do it one particular way, unless it's, of course, Vedic chant, and then God forbid we ever deviate. Let's try another one. Let's see. Oh, and then of course, those of you who have the recording by Shubhraji, Shloka Mala, it's a beautiful recording, and I highly recommend it to anyone. If you look down at the bottom on the tristubh page, she offers yet a different melody. So the Tvameva Mata, that is the final verse in the Guru Stotram, which begins Akhanda Mandalakaram. We could do that sometime too. It's in the sacred chant book that you all have. But here's how she does Tvameva Mata, in case you haven't heard her recording. Om Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhush Chasakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinahan Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Then she might repeat the very last part of that line again. Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Let's chant that all together. Om Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhush Chasakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinahan Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Again. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhush Chasakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinan Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Let's try that with Vande Guru Nam. Let's see what happens. Vande Guru Nam Charanara-vinde Sandarshita Svatma Sukhava Bodhe Nishreyase jangalika yamane samsara hala halamoha shantyai samsara hala halamoha shantyai. And now yogena. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjalira natosmi. Patanjalim pranjalira natosmi. Strange, weird. I think different melodies work better with certain verses. Like, I wasn't sure about the emphasis, the way it's put. Anyway, what did you all think? Other than it was odd. Sandra, what?
I thought it was kind of fun because those are melodies that I sort of know, but I was wondering when you got to Abahu, what you were going to do.
Ah,
And
okay.
you didn't do it.
Let's see, how does she?
Whether you could make that fit.
Abahu purushakaram shankha-chakra siddharinam sahasra shirasam shvetam pranamami patanjalim. Well, I'm almost ad-libbing, aren't I?
But you made it fit.
Purushakaram shankha-chakra siddharinam sahasra shirasam shvetam pranamami patanjalim. I kind of like it. It gives us play, doesn't it? It gives us a feeling of lightness and play. And the only danger, I would think, if there is a danger, is taking us away from the sacredness of it, but not necessarily. It puts in emotions maybe for us, I don't know. And who knows if it was someone from the West who originally put these tunes in. I don't know. People from the West came to India a long time ago, and there's no telling what kind of influence they may have had on the chanting, if anything. I don't know.
Leslie, a question on repeating the last line. So is repeating the last line accomplishing the same thing as, say, you're in a kirtan and you pause at the end of a mantra for some reflection on the mantra? Are those the same emotion, same aspect?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I've been to kirtans, but I haven't been to that many, and I'm not sure. I'm trying to think back on, like, can you give an example in the kirtan? Well, I guess it's Hanuman chants, something.
Yeah, I guess, well, I was at a kirtan at Kripalu last year, right? And the presenter was, I would say she was kind of adamant that we all do this at the end of each of the mantras, that we pause and reflect. And I kind of adopted it, and I felt it, I think it's very nice. But when you repeated the last line, it just occurred to me that it's kind of the same thing. And I wondered whether it's just like a style thing or it accomplishes the same goal.
I think it may accomplish the same goal. I I don't recall what Dr. Sharma, if he said anything, but I think it's like writing it in bold. And when you repeat that last line, that's the gist of the verse, you know, pranamami patanjalim. That is the whole point. Like if we just look at that verse, it's the second one on the anustubh page. We're describing Patanjali in Abahu Purushakaram, Shankachakra. You know, he's up to the, you know, up to the arms in the form of a man holding the conch and the wheel and the sword, and then 1,000 snake heads. You know, those are all descriptions. And then the last line, Pranamami Patanjalim, that is a declaration that I am bowing, I am paying my respects to Patanjali. So to repeat that is maybe just a reminder that this is the whole point of it. And the previous 3 lines are simply, that's the description of the appearance in that incarnation, in that particular avatar, incarnation, something like that.
Makes sense.
Before we go to the Bhagavad Gita, we're almost there. I promised that we would be learning the invocations. So that other sheet, the invocations, it's really in Desikachar's tradition. So these also are Shuklam Baradharam Vishnu, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 syllables per line again. So it's also anustubh. And in Desikachar's tradition, there is yet another melodic choice we could make. So chant with me, Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum. And do you all give me a thumbs up or down? Are you, I know we worked on, we chanted it last week. Is it all right if we chant through it twice and you just chant with me both times? Okay, sounds good. Let's do that. And then I'll move on to the second verse, and then we'll just add on. Okay, here we go. Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnan Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanan Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashantaye. So again, Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnan Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanan Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashantaye. Then the next verse. Yasya Dvirada Vaktradyaha Parishadya Parashatam Vignan Nignanti Satatam Viksenantamashraye. So let's do it again. Well, actually, do you want to just do it again, or do you need call and response? I'll take a majority rules here. Thumbs up if you would like to just do it again. Thumbs up if you would like call and response. Okay, we've got a thumbs up with Rebecca. Call and response for Patty. Call and response for Lisa. Okay, we will do call and response. Yas yad dvirada vaktradyaha. Yas yad dvirada vaktradyaha. 3 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 Dvirada Vaktradyaha. Parishadya parashatam. Parishadya parashatam. Vignanti satatam. Vignanti satatam. Vishvaksenantamashraye. Vishvaksenantamashraye. Now let's do that verse all together. Yasya dviradavaktradyah parishadya parashatam vignanti satatam vishvaksenantamashraye. Okay, so whether it doesn't matter if it wasn't perfect, I would like to move on to the Bhagavad Gita if that's all the same to you, because we could spend 5 hours on this chant, but you know, as we kind of did. Remember, Rebecca, and Patty. So the Bhagavad Gita, since I did spend a little bit of time on this, so please take note. I hope you deleted the first one that you got last week, because this one now has the same file name and it has all the verses in it. And all I can say is I have unshakable faith in my ability to make mistakes. So there might be changes in the weeks to come. Let's go to the second page, which begins. So were you all able to at least have a look at the Bhagavad Gita? A little bit of review or reading a little bit? Yeah. Let's start at the beginning. Well, actually, we were going to go to number 11, but you know, the first verse is the first verse. So we'll do the first verse. And do you see above the first verse in the italics, the very last line there, Atha Sankhya Yogaha, is we're announcing the yoga of knowledge, Sankhya. Sankhya really is that school of, Sankhya means numbers actually, but for some reason they call it the yoga of knowledge here. So we're going to chant that. So it goes like this. Atha Sankhya Yogaha. Atha Sankhya Yogaha. One more time. Atha Sankhya Yogaha. Then Sanjaya Uvacha. Tantatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. So you'll notice I chose yet another melody for anustubh. We could have done any of those that we did earlier, but we'll stick with this one for now. We'll do call and response each line. Andy, did you have a question or were you just doing thumbs up? Okay. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya Uvacha. Tantatha kripaya vishtam. Tantatha kripaya vishtam Ashru purna kulekshanam. Ashru purna kulekshanam. Vishidantamidam vakyam. Vishidantamidam vakyam. Uvacha madhusudanaha. Uvacha madhusudanaha. Well, I know how I sounded. Can anyone chant this yet? Oh God, it is so darn lonely. Turn on, unmute yourselves. I need to hear voices, even if it's talking. Okay, so a translation. Does anybody have a translation handy?
Sure, I do.
Okay, great. Would you mind just reading it?
The Blessed Lord said, although you mean well, Arjuna, your sorrow is sheer delusion. Wise men do not grieve for the dead or for the living.
Yes, but Sanjaya said, and then in the end of the line, Uvacha Madhusudana, Sanjana said that Madhusudanaha, which is another name for Krishna. So Sanjaya said, Lord Krishna said, and then he said that. So
Wait, so then what am I reading wrong?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it just started out with Lord Krishna said, and we didn't get the Sanjaya Uvacha part.
Oh, I'll look in my other book and see if that one has some. I think the other book is more of a,
Okay.
yeah, okay, this one has it. Let me try this one.
Okay, well, that
Sanjaya
first guy,
said,
he just got to the point of it. But
yeah, he's
anyway,
skipped
I
right
don't
ahead.
know. It can be confusing, but I think because the Bhagavad Gita is presented in this way, I think it's a good idea to remember that this is all being relayed to the blind king by Sanjaya. And then he's saying, then he's telling the story. Well, you know, he's recounting what Arjuna said and what the Lord said. So do you have another? Okay.
I do. This one starts, Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhushudana, Krishna spoke the following words.
Okay. All right. So let's get to Madhusudana. Okay. So everyone, you can keep unmuted. It's all right. Everyone say Madhu.
Madhu.
That wasn't so bad. Madhu.
Madhu.
And Sudanaha.
Sudanaha.
So that literally means, and if you have a copy of Winthrop Sargent, he's so great because he has every word for word. Madhusudana, it's an epithet of Lord Krishna. So Madhusudana means slayer of Madhu, referring to Vishnu Krishna's, Vishnu is Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna, Vishnu's slaying of the demon named Madhu. So Sudanaha means slayer.
Madhusudanaha.
Madhusudana. And in this translation, the whole thing, and in this translation, just so you get another English idea, Sanjaya spoke. To him, thus overcome by pity, despairing, whose eyes were filled with tears and downcast, he's talking about Arjuna, Krishna spoke these words. Okay. So then I guess we better go to the next verse. Let's see. There's a lot to pronounce in that first verse. Let's just do it again. Mute yourselves and do it one more time with me. I'll do a call and response again. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya spoke. Sanjaya uvacha tan tatha kripaya vishtam. So that's tan, to him, tam, tatha, in this way, also as well. Kripaya, kripaya means by pity, by sorrow. Avishtam, taken possession of, fallen into. So overcome by. So to Arjuna, who is overcome by sorrow and pity. So again, tan tatha kripaya vishtam. Tan tatha kripaya vishtam. Ashru purna kule kshanam. Ashru purna kule kshanam. So if you put on your detective hat, we know purnamadaha, purnamida. Purna means filled. So we know something's filled with something, purna. Filled with what? So ashru, tears. Eyes are filled with tears. So whose eyes were filled with tears and downcast. Ikshanam, the eye. I don't know what part is downcast, but anyway. Akula means downcast. So ashru purna, filled with tears, kula, downcast, ikshanam, ikshate, that with which we see, whose eyes were downcast. So again, I'll just chant that second line again. Ashru purna kulekshanam. Ashru purna kulekshanam. And then Vishidantam idam vakyam. Vishidantam idam vakyam. So vishidantam, despairing, desponding, dejected. This is such a woe is me, oy vey. It's just so, it's almost funny. It seems exaggerated. Vishidantam, despairing. Idam is a word for this. Vakyam, word, speech. So vishidantam idam vakyam means despairing this word. And then uvacha madhusudanaha. Uvacha madhusudanaha, said the slayer of Madhu. And he said, so we'll just move on to the next verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So here in the last verse, we have Madhusudana, who is Krishna. And now we have Shri Bhagavan, the Lord, the Lord said. So Shri Bhagavan, the blessed Lord, same person, same being, Lord Krishna. Kutastva kashmalamidam. Kutastva kashmalamidam. Vishame samupasthitam. Vishame samupasthitam. Let's do those two together. Kutastva kashmalamidam. Vishame samupasthitam. Anarya jushtamasvargyam. anarya jushtamasvargyam akirtikaramarjuna akirtikaramarjuna. The blessed Lord spoke, "Whence has this timidity of yours come to you in time of danger? It is not acceptable in you, does not lead to heaven, and causes disgrace, Arjuna." So the blessed Lord is telling him, this is not the way you should be behaving. This is not your dharma, not your dharma. So we'll chant that again. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. Again. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. Kutastva kashmalamidam Vishame samupasthitam. Kutastva kashmalamidam Vishame samupasthitam. Anarya jushtamasvargyam. Anarya jushtamasvargyam. Akirtikaramarjuna. Akirtikaramarjuna. Now just that verse all together. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. Kutastva kashmalamidam Vishame samupasthitam. Anarya jushtamasvargyam. Akirtikaramarjuna. Now let's chant verses 1 and 2. Okay, are you with me? Are we good? Okay, here we go. Sanjaya uvacha tantatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. Kutastva kashmalamidam Vishame samupasthitam. Anarya jushtamasvargyam. Akirtikaramarjuna. Is it coming? Unmute yourselves. Dana, how's it coming?
Sorry, I missed some of the first bit. My audio wasn't working, so I'm just listening at the moment. So
Okay.
Yeah.
But at least does it sound like something that you could emulate in your mouth?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
because you're chanting.
Thank you.
The first time I met you, we did something and you repeated things very well. So it and where are you from originally? Is it Latvia?
Yeah. Oh, my parents. Yeah,
Latvia.
yeah. They immigrated to Australia, but I was born here. Yeah.
I was just wondering if in Latvia the language there has roots in Sanskrit or has some relationship to Sanskrit. I'm told the
Yeah.
Finnish language does.
I think it might. It's very similar. The very much the vowel sounds are very similar.
Yeah.
It's the way you speak it, and some of the sounds are very similar.
Well, you have an advantage over the rest of us.
Possibly. There's some things that I think I don't do it right in the throat, like there's the back of the throat or the front, but
Yeah.
that's the difference. So I'll probably revert back to what I know, which is that language. So
Yes,
that's
yeah.
yes.
Right. And it's probably going to, cheating is okay, I guess. Oh, does anybody have anything to say, any questions, anything you'd like to go over from those two verses? Were you able to get your tongues shaped around a little bit or a lot or everything?
I enjoyed like doing that, chanting those verses. I thought that was very interesting way to.
Me too. It's
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say goodbye. Back to school night tonight, so I got to get home and whatnot. So thank you so much. So good to see all of you again.
Bye,
And I hope
Rebecca.
to be here
I'm
next
so
week.
glad you come, Rebecca. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
coming.
Bye.
Bye. Practice. Teach it to your children. Hello, Lola. Elizabeth, were you going to say something?
I was here just kind of looking over everything, because I know when we were chanting it, there were places where my mouth seemed to rebel.
Anything in part? Does anything come to mind, or is it all just a blur? There's a lot there.
I had a little bit of trouble with the rhythm, actually. I think I have it better now. The third line in the first verse was,
Yeah.
I was tripping over that.
Yes. The vishi dantam followed by idam.
Yes.
It should be because there should be no break. I put a break there so you could know what the heck the word is, but it should sound like Vishidantam idam vakyam. Vishidantam idam dantam. Rather than there be a pause there.
Okay. Now that helps.
Yeah. And also I have a space mistake there. Oh no, I don't. Here too. The same thing in the third line on the second verse. Anarya jushtam asparyam. If you can hurry those. And if it helps you to take a pencil and draw a loop so that you're linking those sounds, just to remind your tongue that it should just roll along. That's
And would you also do the fourth line in that second verse?
Yes. Akirti Karamarjuna. So again, Karamarjuna. Akirti Karamarjuna.
Okay.
So there's one long E and one short E. Aki, and the long E is followed by a compound consonant. So Akirti Karamarjuna.
Okay.
So, Bob Gilbo, who can only make it very rarely, but he suggested, I told him that, this is chapter 2 has 72 verses. And I thought, how are we ever going to get through this? And he's helping, he is assisting Edwin Bryant in Edwin's project of writing his own translation of the Bhagavad Gita. So I would defer to Bob in a heartbeat. And he suggested that we start around verse 11. I think I mentioned this last week. So now that we have an establishment there, would you like to just skip to verse 11? And we can continue with these slowly, but then we'll skip to, you know, kind of the meat of the matter. Is that all right with everybody?
Okay. Yep.
Is anybody miserable with that idea? Okay, so number 11. And everyone, is the print large enough for you? Is it clear enough that you can read it okay? Okay, good. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. So we'll repeat that. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. Ashocyanan Vashochasvam. Ashocyanan Vashochasvam. Prajnavadanshcha bhashase. Prajnavadanshcha bhashase. Gatasuna gatasunshcha. Gatasuna gatasunshcha. Nanushocanti panditaha. Nanushocanti panditaha. And I'm going to check. I'm also, of course, checking for any errors I might have made. No, that's correct. Okay, so here's a translation from Winthrop Sargent. The blessed Lord spoke. You have mourned those that should not be mourned, and you speak words as if with wisdom. The wise do not mourn for the dead or the living. And of course, before that, we'll find out, we will discover that Arjuna has decided he's not going to fight his enemies because his enemies are his relatives, his cousins. And all he can see is the misery and the killing, what would happen, the guilt he is afraid he would get from slaying his relatives and his family. And he can't resolve that. He just can't justify doing that. And the good Lord here is telling him why he needs to fight. Does anybody have anything to add to this explanation? I have in some notes here, I must have taken a workshop with somebody because I've got notes scribbled all over the page. It says, I have at the top here, it must have been with Edwin Bryant. At the top, I scribbled in beginning of the spiritual text. So I guess verse 11 is the beginning of the spiritual text, according to my notes. And then I have written down here, the first statement by Krishna, why are you grieving? If you are truly a man of wisdom, you should not grieve. And that's all they're saying. So then I guess we're going to go on and find out. In the meantime, we could spend a lifetime just learning the meaning of all this. Why don't we just spend less than a lifetime chanting it? Okay, so you ready to chant it again? Okay, number 11. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Ashocyanan Vashochastvam Prajnavadanshcha bhashase Gatasuna gatasunshcha Nanushocanti panditaha. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Ashocyanan Vashochastvam Prajnavadanshcha bhashase gatasuna gatasunshcha nanushochanti panditaha. So do you notice some repetition here? In the line-by-line translation, ashocyan means not to be lamented. So shoch, or shuch means to mourn or to grieve. Ashocyan, not to be lamented, not to be mourned. And then ashocyan anvashocastvam, anvashocastvam. Thou hast lamented, thou hast mourned. Prajnavadanshcha bhashase. Words that appear to be wisdom, though they are not. Tvam, thou, prajna, wisdom, vadan, words. Vadan comes from vak or vach, to speak, and then vadan are the words, vadan, those that are spoken. Prajna vadam, words that appear to be wisdom, though they are not. Cha, and then bhashase at the end of that second line. Bhashase, thou speakest, thou sayest. So bhash is a root verb meaning to speak or to say. Gata soon, the gone, from gach. Gata means gone. Asu, breath. Gata soon. Gata asu, gone breath. Those from whom the breath is gone, meaning the dead. Isn't that wild? Wow. If I just disciplined myself to do this more work on this, I'd be fascinated. So gata soon, the dead. Agata soon, the not gone, the not dead. The ones who have not had the breath gone from them. Cha, na, and not. Anushochanti, they mourn, they lament. The wise men. So they do not mourn. The wise men do not mourn. And I have also a note, a pandita, a pandit is also a vivekin, one who understands viveka, who has discrimination, viveka. Do you need anything gone over for that verse before we chant it again?
Yep.
Yeah.
For the, it would be the second and third lines.
Ashocyanan, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Ashocyan anvashocastvam. Ashocyananvashocastvam. So I'm linking the ashocyanan. Ashocyananvashocastvam. So that's so strange. The not grieving and the grieving and the not twam, you, thou. Ashocyanan vashocastvam. Maybe that's another reason why chanting became popular. It's just so much easier to chant it than try to dissect it. Was that helpful, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay. And then was there another line?
Yes, the next line.
Prajnavadanshcha bhashase. My goodness. Okay. Prajna. Everyone say prajna. The long ah. And then say Vadanscha.
Vadanscha.
Good. That's good, Andy. Vadanscha. So there's Prajna Vadanscha. So there's in the Gnya, there's a second mouth position, that soft palate, Gnya, and then Vadanscha, back to the second mouth position, palate. And then Cha begins with the second palate. And then Bha, we have to use our abdomen to support that. Bha, and then Sha. And that Sha is a third mouth position where the tip of the tongue moves towards the hard palate. Bha-sha se. Ending a dental with this. My goodness gracious. It's forcing a dance out of that tongue. Our tongues really have to do strong asana practice here. Prajna Vadanscha Bhasha se. Let's do that 3 times, and I'm going to see if we can slow it down really a lot. So really slow. Here we go. Prajna Vadanscha Bhasha se. Prajna Vadanscha Bhasha se. Prajna Vadanscha Bhasha se. Now let's do it that line fast just to see what happens. Prajna Vadanscha Bhasha se. Did you keep up? Or was it just a mishmash? Oh, these Sanskritists. Was that helpful, Elizabeth and everyone? Perhaps you spoke for many, Elizabeth. Does anyone else have anything to say or ask or complain or praise about this verse? Let's chant verses 1, 2, and 11. Okay, here we go. And we'll start with Atha Sankhya Yogaha. Om. Atha Sankhya Yogaha. Sanjaya Uvacha. Tantatha Kripaya Vishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidantamidam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anaryajushtamasvargyam Akirtikaram-arjuna. Number 11. I'll raise the pitch. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashocyanan Vashochaswam Prajnavadanscha Bhashase Gatasunagatasungscha Nanushochanti Pandita. Let's repeat that one. Shri Bhanuvacha Ashochyanan Vashochastvam Prajnavadanscha Bhashase Gatasuna Gatasuncha Nanushocanti Panditaha. Is it coming? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways.
It's coming, but needs more practice.
Yeah, everything. Abhyasa. That's quite a lot. Let's move on to our prarthana shlokaha. Let's see. Yes, 11 after 5. So let's do Yadakshara. Okay. So it should be on the second page of those invocations of Desikachars. Kshama shlokaha. Elizabeth, are you up to chanting it for us?
Yadakshara. Okay.
Yes, all the way through the whole thing. And we'll chant.
With Kayena Vachatu or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yadakshara padabrashtam matrahi nantu yad bhavet tat sarvangshyam yathan deva narayana namostute Shrimate Narayanaya Namo Namaha Kayena Vacha Manasendriyairva Buddhyatmanava Prakrite Swabhavat Karomi Yadyak Sakalam Harasmai Narayanaiti Samarpayami Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu.
Thank you. Let's do that one more time. I'll chant it just so you can hear a different voice. It's nice to hear different voices. That's why I wanted Elizabeth's voice. So we'll just do it again. And join in when you can and as you can. Yadaksharapadabhrashtam matrahi nantu yad bhavet tat sarvang kshamyatan deva narayana namostute Shrimate Narayanaya Namo Namaha Kayena Vacha Manasendriyairva Buddhyatmanava Prakrite Swabhavat Karomi Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayana Yeti Samarpayami Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. anustubh. May all be dedicated to Narayana or Krishna or Lord Vishnu. May all be dedicated to our eternal source. Well, thank you, everyone. Do you have any final parting words? And are you happy doing this? Is this a good thing to do? It has a nice continuum for sure.
I liked the little exercise you did at the beginning too, with using the different melodies. That was fun.
Good, I'm glad. I thought it might be helpful, just getting used to those rhythms, because that's all there is in the Bhagavad Gita, which is nice. It's nice to know there's some repetition and familiarity.
I think as well, from because I'm very new to chanting things that the invocations I know because I've been taught them many times, but what I found good today was because we were doing many verses, you start to see and hear the repetitions in the way things look and the way they sound.
Yes, yeah.
If you focus, so I think there's benefits to doing the same thing over and over that you learn it. But it's also was helpful today to see those sounds being connecting with the brain, like that looks like that, sounds like that, looks like that, sounds like that.
Yeah.
That was really helpful.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because there is a lot to that, and what we'll find is there is a lot of repetition, and even when a verse seems daunting, there'll be something in it that we know. And as yoga practitioners, and we've all been studying the Yoga Sutras, and we have some Sanskrit background with that, it comes back in here, and it's wonderful. It's such a happy feeling when we recognize a word or a sound. It's like, oh, I'm not in a foreign land after all. Yeah, that's good. Does anybody else have anything to say?
I think it's
Thank you, Leslie. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Leslie, I think it's really interesting after studying Vedic chant to do this, and also to do the exercises you did in the beginning with the invocation, because in Vedic chant, everything was so regimented. It had to be a certain way. And actually, at times there could be this whole fear that comes up, oh no, I messed this up. But there's a little bit, you offered a kind of somewhat of a freedom to work with this, since it didn't have to be an absolute one way or another. And the idea, it really reinforces the idea that, for me, is that chanting is about being able to evoke within ourselves a certain, a certain mood or a certain kind of feeling. And in that way, often that's what really supports our health. Thinking about using chanting as a way of supporting our health and overall well-being.
Thank you for that. Yeah. I was hoping that in playing with those meters the way we did, that freedom would come, some feeling of freedom would come. That's so true. About the Vedic chant is, and the sternness, that with which we learn, there is a rigidity and a discipline there that is most valuable, but it's a different kind of tapas, and learning to chant through the Bhagavad Gita is a great tapas. It's a great practice. It's another yoga practice.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, always give me your feedback, because I like to
Thank you
know
very
that
much.
we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Namaste. Have a lovely day, you
Namaste.
Australian ladies.
We will.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Be well.
Say hello to the Pacific Ocean.
yes.
It's warming up now. It's getting
Yeah, it's cooling down here.
Well, enjoy that warmth.
We will.
Thank
Bye.
you, Patty.
Bye, thank
Thank
you.
you. Good to see you all.
You.
And happy solstice, everybody.
Well, happy equinox or whatever it is.
Yeah. Sorry,
Um,
equinox. I meant
yes,
thank
equinox.
you. Yeah, equinox. Happy, happy sun moving along its course. No, happy us moving along the
every
course.
day.
We-
I was going to see if Winnie was in here. Winnie? I don't know if she's inside. Hold on. Winnie, are you in here? No, I think I can't tell if she's outside or not. Oh well, we've been practicing. We've been doing it in the car.
Oh, good.
And she likes it. It like makes me so happy. She really likes that it has
a dance. Yeah.
Yes, it just engages her. It's really it's so nice. It's really cute.
Oh, that's so great.
It makes me so happy.
Well,
I was so
Lola's
glad I
there.
thought of it. Yes, Lola will start chanting soon too. Let's see.
Hello, Lola. Dogs love hello, Lola. Lola, you're so beautiful. Yeah. Oh, dog.
She's very pretty.
Is she a Labrador? Is she a chocolate lab?
Oh, she's just, I got her at the animal shelter. She's just, I don't know. They said part Australian Shepherd, but I think they just make things up.
She's so beautiful.
She's a good girl.
Yeah,
she was a crazy puppy, but now she's a good girl.
Yeah, they all are. Well, I don't know. Do you know when you'd like to meet again? Anyway, let me know, or unless, do you need to confer with your student about when you want to meet again?
Yes, we could, let me just make sure there wasn't something strange on the calendar for tomorrow. Oh, I was going to actually take class with Harmony tomorrow because she does a good class.
Okay,
So
do that.
That's at the time.
Let me know when you'd like. Yeah, just email me. And I have to go. I'm taking flowers over to this lady who, she's in her 90s. She fell and broke her leg, and she's in our garden club, and she's Dutch. And her name is Edith, and she used to be in the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. And she grew up in Holland, and her parents helped to hide and rescue some Jewish people. I mean, she has a whole history.
Life.
She's an embodiment of history. She's amazing. She fell and broke her thigh bone. And she's still alive.
Oh my gosh.
So I said I'd bring her some flowers. We're sort of taking turns bringing her flowers every week. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow morning anyway.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so that works out. So then maybe Thursday morning.
Yeah. Thursday morning, I'm in a class from 9 to 10:30, but anytime before that or after that, anytime after that. Or we can do it before.
I'm just looking at, Friday morning, if you're available Friday
morning. I'm free on Friday morning.
Let's do Friday morning. What's a good time? I don't want you to make it early. It's really any time in the morning is fine with me. 10, do 9:30 again, 11, whenever. We're just doing our thing. So
you're just doing your thing. Are you teaching in the morning?
Yeah, but only 7 to 8 o'clock or 8:15.
Okay. All right. All right, how about 9 o'clock then? 9 o'clock on Friday?
Yeah, 9 works. That sounds like
a
good time.
We'll just continue with Karagre Vasate Lakshmi?
Yeah, we'll practice that. And then, it won't be like 15 minutes is enough because then she
I keep forgetting when I'm not teaching to an adult, and the attention span is like.
Yeah, but she likes it and she's getting better. So I think the fact that she's starting to get it, because we did the first 2, now we can do the second 2 add-on. We'll practice the first 2 lines a few more times, then we'll use the other. But we've been listening to the whole thing, so it will be familiar to her.
Good, yeah.
To have the second 2
Shuberji just does she does such a nice job with that. Wow.
Yeah, and then I put it on the other day in the car, and I didn't tell her what it was, and she was like, oh, Mama, is this our song? Yes, it is.
That's so great. Wow.
And it's good, that track. She repeats it like 4 or 5 times in that track on the CD.
Yes, repetition is great.
It really is. Okay, so 9 o'clock on Friday.
9 o'clock on Friday. I shall put that down as
Great.
well.
In
Wonderful.
Winnie's calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Leslie.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for everything, Patty. It's great. I can't believe we have a whole first chapter. We have that chapter 2, I mean.
I know, it's so wonderful.
Yeah,
Let's
great.
keep going.
Okay, have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Say hi to
Bye.
Winnie.
I will. See you Friday.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.